All right, it looks like we are live. Hello, everybody. My name is Mary-Margaret, and today we're going to be discussing the contract conversation, the best ways to sell contracts. I'm joined here by our main host today, Michael Brandt, part of our product team, as well as Isaac, and they're going to be saying a few things about themselves today. And then we're going to get into the actual conversation of learning how to best set up contracts and best set up terms for your business. Before we get started, can everybody just maybe just put in the chat like a little emoji, just letting us know that you can hear us okay? Amazing. Wonderful. Thank you guys so much. All right, let's move on. So hello again. My name is Mary-Margaret. I'm part of the marketing team here at Member Solutions, and I'm all about helping our community grow and thrive through helpful insights and connections. If you ever subscribe to our newsletter, I'm always dropping really helpful tips and tricks for your business so that you're able to thrive within your sector. Today, I'm going to be joined by Michael. So, Michael, say a few words about yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Michael. I am on the product team at Member Solutions, and I'm in charge of the development across our MSI products.
Amazing. Thank you. And next up, we have Isaac.
Hi, I'm Isaac. I handle implementations and technical support here at Member Solutions.
Amazing. Thank you, Isaac. If you ever are a client of ours, you'll talk to Isaac a lot. He's a really great and helpful person. So yeah, let's get into the presentation. The first thing that I did want to say, you probably have already gotten this when you had registered, but please feel free, if you haven't already, to grab your free stuff. We have the contract communication cheat sheet, which goes alongside this presentation today and is a really helpful resource for being able to discuss when somebody, if month to month is better, if a contract is better, and help to have those organic, natural conversations to help get people committed to your martial arts school or fitness center. If you like, you can just scan that little QR code there, and I'll also put a link to it in the chat in a few moments. All right. I think that's everything. So I think from here, I will stop sharing my screen and I'll pass it over to Michael.
Everybody see my screen okay? I'll take that as a yes. Okay, so we'll get started here. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for taking your time today. This is the contract conversation. My name is Michael Brandt, like I mentioned before, and I'm here with Isaac. He'll run through some demos at the end of the presentation. So what we first want to talk about is the honest truth about why we built this session. You already know members on contracts stick around longer than just ad hoc or per diem packages or sessions. Our part isn't believing that. It's having the conversation without feeling like you just turn into a used car salesman or someone who tried to walk in and get a workout. So that's the whole thing we're going to fix today. How to introduce term options in a way that feel natural, what to say when someone pushes back, and how to set it up in Member Solutions so it runs without friction. Drop questions in the chat anytime. There's time at the end for those. So what we'll cover today, the first thing is the data. We'll cover why month-to-month members churn faster. I'll show you a little bit of what our numbers look like. Not a stat I found from the internet, although there is one later that I found on the internet about online retail, but not here. Two is how to bring contracts up without it getting awkward or weird. This is the part everybody's nervous about. Three, exactly what to say when they're not ready to commit. So we'll go word for word on that. 4, how to actually set this up and manage it inside Member Solutions, inside Member Manager, be more specific, so it's consistent and easy. And 5, the live Q&A. So any questions that you have, conversations that you've had before, you can bring them up here and we'll answer those. So, this is a conversation, not a pitch. I'm not a sales guru by any means. So jump into the chat as we go with any questions that you have. So start off with what the data tells us. We went into Member Solutions billing data. This is real, not a survey. What we did, we looked at more than 100,000 memberships across their 9 active clubs, and we only counted memberships that have been around long enough to fairly judge, so 12 months or more. And we also excluded paid in full contracts as well, or prepaid contracts. These are strictly paid by the month contracts. So after that, we asked one simple question: a year after someone joined, are they still a paying member? Do they still belong to your club? For month-to-month members, the ones with no term, cancel anytime, about 30% of those are still there at 12 months. So roughly 7 out of 10 are gone within the year. For our members on a term commitment, it's about 61%. So more than double, just barely. So twice as likely to still be with you a year later. Same clubs, same town, same front desk. The only difference is whether there was a commitment in place. And I want to be honest about this and straightforward. This wasn't true in one club. This was true in all the clubs we looked at. It's just an aggregate of all those clubs. It's just the shape of the business that we've seen so far in our data. So next we'll go into locking people in. Here's the reframe that makes the whole conversation easier. It's the thing I most want to walk through here. So a month-to-month member has to redecide to stay every single month. You could think about what that means every slow week, every busy season, every tight paycheck. People ebb and flow on the activities that they want to do. That's a fresh chance to drift. So month to month isn't freedom. It's 40 separate chances to quit. A term option helps to remove that monthly redecision. And here's the part that matters. It helps the member, not just you. So it carries them through the dips, those first 60, 90 days when motivation is most fragile, when most people quit. You'll find most of your month-to-month cancellations happening within the first 30 to 90 days. It locks the rate in before any price increases. So you'll see some places will increase prices every 6 to 12 months. What this does when you sign a term contract, it basically locks you in. You can, evangelize that as a discount and protection against any rate increases in the future. It turns a vague I should work out more into an actual commitment, and commitment is the thing that changes behavior. Nobody hits a goal on a maybe, and for you, it's predictable revenue and a member that's far more likely to actually get their result and renew. So the reframe here is a contract isn't how you trap a member; it's how you help them keep the promise they made to themselves. If you believe that, the data says you should, then bringing it up isn't pushy; it's doing your job. So now we'll talk about how to bring it up without the awkwardness. So how do you actually say it? The discomfort comes from feeling like a salesperson, I think sometimes. So the fix is simple. Don't be one. Just be an advisor. 3 moves for that. So the first one is to tie it to their goal, not your plan. So anchoring on the thing that they told you they want. I want something to fill my time. I'm looking for something that's a bit more fulfilling. I want to be more active. I want to live more of an active lifestyle. So when you anchor on that, you're not selling a contract. You're helping them get a result they already asked for and helping them achieve a goal. So it works both ways there. 2 is ask, don't pitch. So a question opens a conversation. A pitch builds a wall. The second someone feels pitched, they brace. I like to think of it kind of as door-to-door salesman. When there's a pitch, it automatically gets shut down. And most of the time they start off kind of with a conversation, understanding somebody's needs. And then 3rd is make it normal. So present the term option as just the standard next step. It's not a big reveal, not hard close. Just say it flatly, 0 pressure, like it's the most normal thing in the world, because it is. Put it together. The best moment is right after a good session when they're feeling the value in their own body. I would say something like, you've been really consistent at showing most people who get the results year after commit to a few months, they don't lose momentum. Well, I'm going to walk through what that looks like, right? You get them into the club, whether that's through a trial or, a first package. And you say, hey, how do you like everything? There's more to come with that. Let me talk to you about how you don't lose the momentum that you gain. I've already noticed this after a few sessions. So here is what we recommend. When the pushback happens, and they say, I'm not ready to commit. First, it's a mind shift change. So pushback is not a no. It's just a request for reassurance. They're telling you what they're afraid of. Your job is to meet the fear, not argue with it. That's an automatic loss of sale there when you start being argumentative about it. Nobody will commit to a person that they're arguing with. So let's go through the 4 you'll hear most. The first one will be, I don't want to be locked in. So what I see when I hear that is I'm scared of being trapped. So you hand them the exit up front. You're not trapped. To set term to get you through the hard part. Then, if you put a renewal on the end of that, it'll roll month to month. You can cancel anytime after that. Giving them the door is what lets them walk through it. It allows them to say, this isn't a permanent solution. This is something temporary that you can try. There's just a small commitment needed by both sides. When somebody says, let me think about it, that's I'm not certain enough yet. So I wouldn't accept a stall there. Find the real question. Of course, what's the one thing you'd want to feel sure about before you'd say yes? Now they tell you what the actual objection is, and you can handle that. It's too expensive, so that's value isn't clear next to the price. Meaning there. Break it down small, lower the first step. Let's look at it per visit, and I can start you on a shorter term, so it's easier. It's an easier first step. So just to use simple math, let's say it's $100 a month for one visit a week for 4 weeks, right? It's $25 a visit for your class, but here's what your son's gaining from that. Here's what your daughter's gaining from that. Here's what you're gaining from that. That's the cost of a drive-through meal at McDonald's. Is that worth a week of your time? Fourth is I might might travel. That's just uncertainty. That could happen at any moment. And that's what we have built-in freezes for. So for that, the response there would be, we pause it, you're protected, you pick right up when you're back. We had a presentation last month about freezes and the benefits of those. So I'm not going to go back over that, but very useful tool when somebody says, hey, I really want to join, I really want to sign for a 12-month commitment, but there's going to be a month or two where I'm going to be gone, or I'm going home from school, or I just have a lot of life activities at that time that you can then use those freezes for. So now we'll talk about when they still hesitate to offer the smaller yes. So here's the mindset shift that saves the most memberships. You don't need a 12-month yes today. You need momentum, positive momentum. A member moving in the right direction beats a member you pushed too hard and lost entirely. So when they're still on the fence, you lower the stakes instead of walking away. So if you have a 12-month sell, offer a 3 or a 6, offer a half term. It's still a real commitment, easier to say yes to, and the data still works in your favor that they will continue to come back to your club. The fear of being stuck after the term, you can just tell them that once this term is over, it'll roll month to month. There's a renewal that you can cancel if you don't feel comfortable with it. And that should help with that one too. Cancel anytime as the only option. That's a big crux where kind of one of those things where if you can't cancel anytime, some people get a bit negative about that. But, the solution to that is to be fair, clear up front with what your cancellation clause is. So everybody involved in the transaction has peace of mind, but now there's a commitment to that attached. Instead of losing them over money, so walking away over money, offer the term at a monthly rate, or MSI. If you operate a full service billing, we can also do payment plans as well, either on the down payment or on the payments themselves. And then instead of maybe later, you can start the term now, date the first payment later. They commit today. The charge lands when it actually fits their month. So you can say, hey, I know you don't want to pay today. I'll push that down payment, or I'll push that first payment out 2-3 weeks. You can give it a try. And then we can go from there. So the operational punchline here, every one of these things that I've discussed, you can do in member solutions products today. Freeze is a thing, short-term contracts, renewal terms, cancellation clauses, and our full service billing operation can handle the cancellations for you. You set up the terms, and our full service billing team can help you to commit to those terms when there are cancellation requests there. So we'll talk about, I got a little ahead of myself. We'll talk about what these things are set up in member solutions. And again, this is member manager specifically. So first things is the contract template. So with that, you can adjust the term length, payment schedule, down payments, initiation fees. You can set cancellation terms. So you can set the notice period, the exact wording. So it's the same language every time. It's on every contract that you sell. And it's known to our billing team when cancellations do come into our full service client center. The renewal rollover type. So with that, you can choose a renewal. You can choose whether you want to roll it into another term, or you want to convert to month. It's your choice there. The setting is what makes it. It just becomes the month after promise true. And then payment options. So you can do monthly. You can do paid in full. Like I mentioned earlier, you can pay all up front, or you can put on a payment plan. You can adjust invoices as they go. So if it's something like, the summer I'm going to come less, you can adjust those invoices there to reflect the value that they're receiving. So why this matters, the terms your staff offers on the floor come straight from these templates. So conversation, paperwork always match each contract you sell of that type. One note there though is that the rolls to month promise only holds if you actually set the renewal type that way. So if you don't set the renewal type that way, those contracts will expire. But like I said, pretty easy to set those up. Then the contract will just roll to a new term. So now we'll talk about after the setup, talk about letting the system carry the follow through, meeting members where they already are, which today is mostly online. Oh, here's the online stats for you. I promised you. So auto renew will keep a committed member committed, no lapse, no reselling. The same person you already convinced once. Members can sign a term themselves in the member portal, so no counter conversation required for the ones who are already sold. Billing will run on schedule, failed payments, expiring cards, those surface automatically. So membership doesn't quietly die because a card expired. So they'll get those alerts in member portal. You'll get those alerts through email, and then for our full service clients, the call center will follow up on those failed payments and expiring cards as well. And good things, everything's logged there. So you'll know who signed what terms. They get a copy of the contract. You have a copy of the contract. That's for your protection if a member ever disputes it. So with that, just to talk about the self-service and the online aspect of selling things, there are some clubs who don't like that. They don't enjoy that. But what I would say is that, it's not a nice to have anymore. It's really a table stakes or a mandatory offering that you have to have. If you think about how people buy things now versus 10 years ago, share of US retail, bottom line has roughly doubled in a decade. In fitness specifically, more than half of members say they'd rather sign up and manage their membership on their phone, and nearly half say they'd leave a gym that doesn't offer digital self-service. The front desk only sign up is going the way of a paper ledger or documenting your accounting on an Excel sheet. Just me personally, the gym I go to, I don't think they even sell front desk contracts anymore. I think they just direct you to the online portal to sign up there. So the takeaway here is the friction you remove for yourself is also the experience your members now expect. And the two things that are going later this year make the follow through more hands off. So the next member conversation starts itself. So with that, I'll talk about some of the things that we have coming later this year, probably around Q4 and into the new year. The first is lifecycle event automation. So the idea there is 5 key moments in a member's life, each trigger their own automatic follow-up. So you're not relying on someone remembering to run a report. So those 5 are the member self-registration. So if somebody signs up through the portal, you'll get a notification there. Their first contract is signed. It can kick off an onboarding flow automatically. Trial expiring. So if you offer them a trial and it's expiring in a week, you'll get a nudge that before it lapses, you might want to make contact, try to bring your trial conversion rate up. Contract expiring. So this is a big one today. The renewal conversation queues itself about 2 weeks out. So you'll never miss a renewal window again. When you have a contract coming up or coming up on expiration, you can send out a quick automated message to say, hey, your contract's expiring in 2 weeks. Contact the club at this number or come in and talk to us to renew your contract. And contract cancellations. So you can trigger a win back the moment they leave while it's still fresh. Each of these moments, you can fire a mix of a automated email, a text, a task for your staff, or an alert that'll show up on the member's profile in the portal, as well as their profile on your front desk club app. So you set it up once, everything starts off. You turn on only what you want, no surprise automation. So if you don't want to do the trials, you don't have to feel obligated to do that. And every message that goes out is logged in that member's contact log. So you can always see exactly what happened. It's not about just blasting people consistently with messaging. It's about never letting the right moment pass unnoticed. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was account alerts, something that's going to be coming soon for us. This one's more billing focused than the previous one that's more customer retention shifted. So this one's, if you've used Billing Manager, the account alerts it sends. So those typically go through email. We're going to bring that into Member Manager, and we're going to kind of shift it a little bit, make it a bit more intuitive than it exists currently in our other member solutions products. And also building that into one cohesive place as opposed to 2 different applications. So with that, you'll be able to subscribe your staff to email alerts on the accounts that actually cost you members. So credit card declines, return payments, cancellation notices, payment method changes, direct payment notices, and then when an account moves to default, which would be a new one. We don't have that currently. So, and we have our full service billing offering is when accounts get moved to a late status, they will follow up. And then there's a separate funnel as well for an account moving to default. And here's why that matters. And it ties back to today's whole theme. Decline card or return payment is a member you're about to lose without knowing it. An alert the moment it happens is a save you can actually make. You reach out, you fix the card, you keep the member, say, hey, I noticed your card decline. We can update that. Hey, by the way, your contract expiring in a month and a half. Do you want to renew it? Have you thought about that at all? So the way this would happen is you'll configure it under setup. You'll pick which staff gets the alerts, and then you can go on from there. So that's something to expect a little bit later in the year. So 3 things that I'd ask you do this week before we leave here is I would say pick your default term. So decide the one term you'll lead with, 3, 6, 12 months, depending on your business model, and build that template. One's enough to start, and remember, set the renewal type so it rolls month to month, or it renews into another contract when it ends. So you're not just having a contract expiring and nothing happens. There's a next step to those term contracts. 2 is write your opening line. So one natural sentence your whole team says the same way. Tie it to the member's goal, so nobody's just freelancing or going off the cuff at the counter. And 3 would be run 10 times. Offer to your next 10 eligible members. Track it simple. Yes, not yet, no. 10 reps, you'll feel the conversation get easier, and you'll see the real objections you personally want to practice. So with that, we can either go to the Q&A, or we can go with the demos.
Hey, I think that probably the best course of action would be for us to do the demo real quick first.
All right, that's my cue to do some demos for everybody. So what I wanted to demo was just how easy it is to build out those templates, just so that when you are selling these, you don't have to worry about manipulating settings or doing anything in order to get to the promise that you made them about what you're offering them, right? So like Michael said, if you're offering them a 6-month term that goes into an ongoing renewal contract, you want to make sure that when you're selling that and when you're actually doing the sale and filling out all their information, you're able to put that in and get that set up in the system within a few minutes versus having to manipulate a bunch of settings in order to get there. So in order to do that, we just go to setup, we go to inventory, contracts and packages, and all we do is click on add contract. So here we could say like membership as the name. We could say 6-month term. And then I always let people know that they should probably add some form of information about what the auto renewal is, or what the class limits are, or something about the membership that makes it a little bit more descriptive in case you're going to have multiple templates, just so that it's easier for you to know which one's which. So this one will say AR for auto renewal, and we'll say ongoing. So that way we know that this is the one that's going to auto renew into a month-to-month contract after those 6 months. We're going to select categories, and we're going to say that this contract is available to all students. And then we're just going to build out a couple of the small things here, which is adding an item, which is just adding the item that the person receives as part of the contract. This is tied to check-in and making sure that when people check in, they have the right items. So we always make sure that we add these in. I'll put in the price. One second. Say $150 for this membership. And you'll see that it's now added, and it lets you know what they're going to receive as part of this membership. And then right here is where we can kind of start looking at those templated options that Michael was talking about, how we can have a type of contract, which is either term, ongoing, paid in full. You can even do things like complimentary, but that's not the point of today. But let's talk about term, obviously, because we're going to do the 6-month term. We're going to say that it auto renews, it's going to have 6 payments, and then we're going to say that it gets paid once every month. So that's how easy it is to set up the base term or the base contract. Down at the bottom here, we're going to start building out what happens when the contract ends, as well as talking about things like initiation fees, if you wanted to add that into the contract, or a down payment if they're going to pay something up front towards their monthly payments. You could even offer things like free payments. Maybe that's a way you can get past that objection of being in a 6-month term of saying, hey, you get 1 free payment, it'll be 5 payments, but you're locked in for 6 months, right? Things like that maybe can always help push people from a no to a yes. And then down here is down where we start looking at the auto renewals and the cancellations. If you look here, cancellation notice, kind of like what Michael was saying, one of the most important things is making sure that for cancellation notice that it's clear and they know what they're getting. They know what their options are to cancel. Because I'm sure for a lot of those people who are on the fence, the idea of being locked in and not knowing how to get out if they need to can be daunting. And then renew at end of contract is where we decide what happens at the end of our 6-month term. We can say additional term, and then we're given the options of setting what that additional term payments look like, the terms for cancellation for that additional term, and then as well as how many times that's going to renew or how many additional payments are going to be added into the contract. What we're going to do though, in this case, we're going to go to converts to ongoing, and you're going to see that. And then we just need to set the payment amount. So we'll say that it's going to stay to 150, and the cancellation notice for this is also 30 days. So they'll know going in, they can cancel 30 days notice on their 6-month term, or 30 days notice on their month to month after that term ends. And we're going to leave the conditions default because that's just the contract terms. Okay, and then save and exit. And now if we search, we're going to see that our new contract is here, membership. It's all set up. And for your staff, when they're selling these, they will then be able to see this. So we're going to go to a new contract, and we would say that this is being purchased by Isaac. We're going to select maybe one of the ones that I've already set up. And then I'm going to show you the two different ones that are on the list right now. There's 12-month term AR term and membership 6-month term. If we do 6-month term and click on create contract, this is where I was saying the templates get you away from editing a whole bunch of things. So we could have made all of those changes and make all of those things happen from this screen for any contract. But again, that I think makes it a little too complicated, opens up the possibility of making a mistake, or maybe even opens up the possibility of not delivering on the promise you gave the person who was already wary about signing a contract. So we have everything set up already. You can see that it has 6 payments, it renews every month, and then it also tells you how much they pay and all that stuff. And if we click on edit and view details, we'll also be able to see here what the renewal is at the end. So we can see that this one does renew at the end of the contract to ongoing. So we're all good. We see the payment schedules all set up, and then we click on save and continue. And then they'll get their contract terms, including things like their cancellation terms and stuff like that here as well. So that's how easy it is for that to happen. And then again, like I said, the other templates make it super simple to just make sure you're giving them exactly what they were looking for. So if I switched over to the 12-month term, you'll see that this one has the appropriate amount of payments, whatever the payment terms are. And then if you see here, the renew at end of contract does the additional term and then does the 12-month or additional 1-year term. So super simple to set up, super simple to use and sell to people after they're set up, and gives you the flexibility of making sure that you have an option for people no matter what their objections are or their like desired contract is. And then on the flip side, if you're not doing it from there, you can also do it from the member portal. So this also gives them the ability to do this on their own. Once you have those templates in there, once you have those contract offerings available, if we go to enroll from the member portal, which is available to all members now, we click on enroll, we click on the contract that we've set up or the one that I set up earlier. If we click on join now, you can see here that all of the information that they get is already here, or all the information they need to understand what the contract is already here. And then it's just as simple as clicking on review contract. They can read through what all of the terms are, they can sign, they can do all the signature, and then complete their checkout and set up for a brand new contract within minutes of creating their profile. So just a couple of quick demos about how easy it is to set up and then sell those contracts to people. But if you have questions, obviously let me know, or if I went too fast on something, let me know. But yeah, that's it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for showing us that, Isaac. So from here, I think what I'll do is I will share my screen and we will finish up the presentation. All right. Bear with me here, folks. I hope everybody can see my screen. So again, if you are interested in our resource for this month related directly to this webinar, please feel free to scan the QR code on the screen or to click on the link that is present within the chat. And if you are interested in learning more about member solutions and how we're able to help you recover lost revenue due to failed payments, feel free to scan this QR code here. Avery our wonderful team member who does our free billing assessments, he's also going to put his direct calendar link within the chat momentarily so that if you're wanting to, you can also schedule a time that works best for you to connect with them. And also, if you're interested in learning more after seeing that wonderful demonstration that Isaac had gave, please feel free to look at our virtual tour of our platform. And yeah, I think that from here we will move on to a quick Q&A before the draw. All right, I see some questions coming in. One person is asking Avery how to reach out via email.
I've just added my link into the chat, but what I will do also for you is post my email in the chat for you as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Avery. I think the next one might be for Michael Brandt. The question reads, can you please explain further the golden rule?
The golden rule? Yeah, treat people how you want to be treated. Be nice. Don't be argumentative. Understand people's trepidations and concerns with wanting to sign a long-term commitment, and then kind of try to meet them as much on their terms as you can.
Awesome. Oh, there's lots of questions coming in. So the next one is, how do I need to sound genuine? And sorry, I think what they're saying is, how do I sound genuine and not like I'm doing a sales pitch? I'm gonna just chip in real quick here. The guide that I had linked also has some really great examples of how to navigate that as well. But I will give this back over to Michael Brandt.
Yeah, with anything, just practice. That's why I said, pick one pitch, or I don't like to call it a pitch. Pick one opportunity, and just practice that 10 times. It's the same with anything. The more you practice, the more comfortable you get to it. The more experience you'll get with some of the rejections and things that you'll have to deal with. So with anything, practice doesn't come. I'm not Andy Elliott or any of the other gurus out there, but everything comes with practice and just learning, just knowledge.
Amazing. The next one coming in is, how long should I wait after a pushback?
Yeah, I mean, that one I would kind of depend on what the circumstance is. If it's like a really, really hard pushback, then I would probably just say, hey, I understand. Here's, if you have a business card, say, here's my card. If you change your mind, and then if they exchange information with you, I'd say probably follow up 7 days. But ideally, when you meet pushback, you want to at least understand the issue and try to solve for it before they walk out the door. Because odds are, if they leave, they most likely aren't going to come back, or they're going to start looking at other options. So I would say in the moment.
Awesome. The next one is from Eli. Can I get more information if possible, another demo, and what's the subscription like if I decide to get this? I think that could be a detail that Avery can touch on either in direct message, or if you're wanting to say live.
Yes, I can direct message you. So that was for Eli.
Yes, for Eli Osh.
Yes, so Eli, I did drop my phone number, direct contact, and my email address in there, so we could get online, we could chat, and really kind of get a detailed plan for what works best for you. We have a few service options, so I don't want to just give you like a cookie cutter answer today to see which one works best for you and your business.
Amazing. Thank you, Avery. There's one more here from Ella. Ella, how do I become confident in networking? I am an introvert. Oh, that's a very good question. And Ella, if you're comfortable with it, I will share a few guides that we have on our website that might be able to help you out with those types of conversations as well. Specifically, the one that is from this month has some really great kind of like friendly ways to go about pushbacks, as well as some great ways to start conversations with your members when they come in the door. So I'll make sure, if you're comfortable with it, I'll send you some further resources after this. But I'll let the panel here also add in as well if they have some answers for you, Ella.
How to be more confident in networking? Yeah, it's another thing that just takes practice and being confident in yourself, I would say. I would just say, yeah, confidence, being willing to share information and talk to other people openly, and a willingness to learn would probably be my advice.
All right, the rest of the ones that I see here is just people saying that they appreciate the presentation. I'll wait a few more seconds to see if anyone has any further questions. But yeah, this was a really great session. I learned a lot myself, and honestly, it was a really great experience to be able to share all of this knowledge with you guys, as well as my panel. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. If you want to stay in touch, please feel free to sign up for our newsletter. And I also had some further information I wanted to share. We have, let me see if I can share my screen one more time. Hang tight, everybody. Sharing is caring. All right. So I want to let you know that we're going to be having another webinar coming up on August 26th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's going to be with our guest host, Matthew Brenner from Double Your Dojo. He's been within the martial arts space for many years and has been, I think he has several branches of his own practice. And he teaches us how to get more students this fall through utilizing the school system. So if you're interested, let me know and I can actually share the Zoom link so that you can register there as well.